Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Trump begins speaking his team. India supporter Marco Rubio tipped for Secretary of State. Mike Waltz, who heads a committee of lawmakers on India and Indian Americans, likely to be the National Security Advisor. India and Russia hold a meeting of the Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technical and Cultural Cooperation in New Delhi. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres asks world leaders at COP29 to pay up or face climate-led disaster for humanity. And Mauritius's election commission declares final result. Opposition alliance led by Naveen Ramgoolam wins 62.6% of votes. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that Britain would cut greenhouse gas emissions by 81% by 2035 as he committed the country to a more ambitious climate goal at the UN COP29 climate summit. The new goal is in line with a recommendation from a committee of climate advisors who said last month that the target should exceed the current 78% cut to emissions measured against 1990 levels.
So at this COP, I was pleased to announce that we're building on our reputation as a climate leader, with the UK's 2035 NDC target to reduce all greenhouse gas emissions by at least 81% on 1990 levels. Our goal of 1.5 degrees is aligned with our goals for growth.
In his keynote speech at COP29 summit, Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev hit out at Western critics of his country's oil and gas industry, saying that it had been a victim of a well-orchestrated campaign of slander and blackmail. The comments came on the second day of the summit, at which nearly 200 nations are meeting to discuss how they can cut fossil fuel emissions, and just moments before UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that doubling down on fossil fuels was an absurd strategy. Azerbaijan's oil and gas revenues accounted for 35% of its economy in 2023, down from 50% 2 years ago.
When they call us petrostate now, today, this is not fair, and it only demonstrates lack of political culture and knowledge. Today, Azerbaijan's share in global oil production is 0.7%, in global gas production is 0.9%. But fake news media of the country, which is #1 oil and gas producer in the world and produces 30 times more oil than Azerbaijan, call us petrostate. They'd better look at themselves.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres asked world leaders at COP29 on Tuesday to pay up to prevent climate-led humanitarian disasters. He said that time was running out to limit a destructive rise in global temperatures.
The clean energy revolution is here. No group, no business, and no government can stop it. But you can and must ensure it is fair and fast enough to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. COP29 must tear down the walls of climate finance. Developing countries must not leave Baku empty-handed. A deal is a must, and I'm confident it will be reached.
A Dutch court on Tuesday accepted Shell's appeal against a landmark climate ruling dismissing the order for the oil and gas company to sharply reduce its emissions. The original 2021 ruling ordered Shell to cut its absolute carbon emissions by 45% by 2030 compared to 2019 levels, including those caused by the use of its products. The appeals court in The Hague dismissed the ruling, although it says that Shell has a responsibility to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to protect people from global warming. A climate activist group called the Friends of the Earth Netherlands, which brought the case in 2019, said that it would continue its fight against large polluters. US President-elect Donald Trump has begun choosing his cabinet and other high-ranking administration officials. Mike Waltz, a National Guard colonel, is likely to serve as National Security Advisor. Waltz is the co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on India and Indian Americans and has advocated for stronger U.S. defense and security cooperation with India. According to reports, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem will be the Homeland Security Secretary. Former Congressman Lee Zeldin will lead the EPA. Elise Stefanik will be U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, pushing for a more U.S.-centric approach, especially on Israel and the Israel-Hamas conflict. Susie Wiles, a key Trump campaign strategist, will be the White House Chief of Staff. Germany is set to hold a snap election on 23rd February. The Social Democrats, Greens and Conservatives have reached a compromise on the date of poll. The timing of a confidence vote still remains open though. Opposition parties wanted a vote as early as January, but Chancellor Olaf Scholz warned that the January vote would overstretch the electoral authorities during a holiday season, leaving parties unprepared. Scholz, who runs a minority government with the backing of the Greens, hopes to secure enough opposition support to pass laws to protect the Constitutional Court from the far right and fund Ukraine before demitting office. Mauritius's Election Commission said on Tuesday that the final results from the general election showed an opposition alliance led by Naveen Ramgoolam won 62.6% of votes. It won 60 of 62 seats, giving three-time former Premier Ramgoolam a fourth term. Ramgoolam said that following his landslide victory, he would first dismantle the country's spying system so that Mauritians will be free to talk. The outgoing Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth conceded on Monday, saying that he tried to do what he could for his country, but that his political alliance was heading for a huge defeat.
We are heading for a defeat, and it is even clearer that the LEPEP alliance is going towards a big defeat overall. I did what I could for the country and the people. The people choose another team to run the country. Of course, you have to accept this choice. You have to respect the choice. I wish my country and the population good luck.
Unemployment in the UK has risen more than anticipated, according to official data released on Tuesday, as businesses warn about slowing job growth following the new Labour government raising taxes on businesses in its budget. Unemployment rate rose to 4.3% in the third quarter, up from 4% in the 3 months till the end of August. Israel has said that it is pushing to get aid into Gaza before US deadline as fighting persists. The Israeli military has said it had delivered hundreds of packets of food to cut off areas of northern Gaza through the new Kisufim aid crossing. But Israel also said that a number of other things remained under discussion. Earlier in a letter, the Biden government warned Israel of potential halt to arms transfers if it did not take action to let more humanitarian aid into Gaza. Israel on Tuesday launched at least 10 airstrikes on Lebanon's capital Beirut, causing blasts that shook the capital around mid-morning local time. The explosion followed an Israeli military warning identifying 12 sites in the southern suburbs of Beirut, saying that it would strike Hezbollah targets there. Earlier in the day, Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz said that there will be no ceasefire in Lebanon, reiterating that Israel will continue to hit Hezbollah targets until the war objectives are met. And now take a look at what else is making news around the world. Riot police in the Netherlands capital Amsterdam on Monday arrested several people during another eruption of violence sparked by a soccer match between Israeli side Maccabi Tel Aviv and local team Ajax on Thursday. The riots come after days of unrest in the Dutch capital, where early on Friday Israeli soccer fans were attacked in what Dutch authorities and a range of foreign leaders have denounced as acts of anti-Semitism. High inflation continues to erode the purchasing power of Argentine consumers, leading to a steady decline in consumption levels. Retailers, including butchers and grocers, are expressing concern about stagnant sales because of the challenging economic climate. Customers are reportedly prioritizing essential purchases and buying in smaller quantities. A hit-and-run attack at a sports center in the southern Chinese city of Zhuhai killed 35 people and injured 43. A 62-year-old driver rammed his car into people exercising there. Police said that a preliminary investigation indicated that the incident was triggered by the suspect's discontent following a divorce. Myanmar's Tongyi saw the night sky light up with brightly colored hot air balloons and dazzling fireworks as thousands gathered for the Tazong Deng festival on Tuesday. Still to come on DD India Live. Air India completes its merger with Vistara. And North Korea ratifies a defense treaty with Russia. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. North Korea ratified a defense treaty with Russia, pledging mutual military aid in case of an attack. On Tuesday, North Korea's state media reported that this defense deal was signed by the leaders of the two countries in June, with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signing a decree to ratify the pact on Monday. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has signed the treaty into law, stipulating mutual assistance. The announcement came at a crucial time amid growing international concerns over military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang, with North Korea having sent its troops to Russia to support its conflict with Ukraine. Philippines' Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro, in a meeting with his Australian counterpart in Canberra on Tuesday, said that China is putting ever greater pressure on the Philippines to cede its sovereign rights in the South China Sea. The South China Sea has been a disputed area for both China and the Philippines. This being their fifth meeting, it shows Australia and Philippines' growing security ties and concerns about Chinese activity in areas of the South China Sea.
What we see is an increasing demand by Beijing for us to concede our sovereign rights in the area because of our need to explore and exploit the resources in these areas for the benefit of our own people. And that is clear. We don't need to enter into a geopolitical nexus for determining the root cause of the problem, because we are direct victims of Chinese aggression in this and in a concentrated area thus far in the West Philippine Sea.
The Secretary of Russia's Security Council, Sergei Shoigu, held talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing on Tuesday. Shoigu called their partnership an example of cooperation. He said that the strong relations between Moscow and Beijing were a stabilizing influence on the world. Russia's Shoigu will attend the 19th round of the annual China-Russia Strategic Security Consultation and the 9th meeting of the China-Russia Law Enforcement and Security Cooperation Mechanism in China. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov co-chaired the 25th session of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technological and Cultural Cooperation in New Delhi on Tuesday. Minister Jaishankar was confident that India would achieve a trade target of $100 billion before 2030.
There have been challenges to trade, especially in regard to payments and logistics. Perceptible progress has been made in that regard, but there is still some work to be done. Our joint endeavors in regard to connectivity, such as the International North-South Transport Corridor, the Chennai-Vladivostok Corridor, and the Northern Sea Route must go forward. We will also be discussing cooperation critical for our food, energy, and health security. Russia has emerged as a major source of fertilizers for us. Its supply of crude oil, coal, and uranium are indeed important. Similarly, India's pharmaceutical industry has emerged as an affordable and reliable source for Russia. Looking ahead, we are also exploring the mobility of talent and skills. Customizing them for the Russian market has to be a shared enterprise. Excellency, I am confident that we will achieve the trade target of $100 billion by 2030, well before that.
For his part, Minister Manturov confirmed Russia's strong commitment on signing a free trade agreement between the EU and India, as well as a bilateral agreement on services and investments.
Over the last 5 years, trade turnover of our country has grown more than fivefold, and India is now the second country among all the foreign economic partners of Russia. The positive tendency is maintained this year as well. Over the first 8 months, the trade turnover has grown by 9% as compared to last year. We confirm our strong commitment on signing the free trade agreement between the EU and India, as well as bilateral agreement on services and investments. This fully meets the needs of our business community.
The 18th Prasar Bharati Divas will be held from 8th to 10th January 2025 in Odisha. Its official website was launched in the presence of India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Odisha Chief Minister Mohan Charan Manjhi. Prasar Bharati Divas celebrates the contributions of the Indian diaspora. It will take place at Janata Maidan in Odisha's capital, Bhubaneswar. The event is expected to bring together members of the Indian diaspora, facilitating discussions on key issues and opportunities for collaboration. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Nigeria, Brazil and Guyana from 16th to 21st November of this year. Prime Minister will visit Nigeria from 16 and 17 November. This will be the first visit by a Prime Minister of India to Nigeria in 17 years. During the visit, the Prime Minister will hold talks to review the strategic partnership between India and Nigeria and discuss further avenues to enhance the bilateral relationship. He will also address a gathering of the Indian community in that country. The Prime Minister will travel to Rio de Janeiro during 18th and 19th November to attend the G20 summit. India is part of the G20 Troika along with Brazil and South Africa and has been actively contributing to the ongoing G20 summit discussions. During the summit, the Prime Minister will put forward India's positions on various issues of global importance and build on the outcomes from the G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration and Voice of the Global South summits, which were hosted by India in the past 2 years. The Prime Minister will then visit Guyana from 19th to 21st November. This visit to Guyana will be the first by an Indian Prime Minister since 1968. During the visit, the Prime Minister will hold discussions with President Ali, meet other senior leaders of Guyana, address the Parliament of Guyana, and address a gathering of the Indian diaspora. In Georgetown, Guyana, Prime Minister will also participate in the second CARICOM India Summit and hold meetings with leaders of CARICOM member countries to further enhance India's long-standing friendship with the region. Merger of the full-service airlines Air India and Vistara was successfully completed on Tuesday. It followed the merger of low-cost airlines Air India Express and AIX Connect, formerly Air Asia India, on 1st October. Vistara's final flight took off from Biju Patnaik International Airport in Odisha for New Delhi. After the merger, the Air India Group now operates a combined fleet of 300 aircraft covering 55 domestic and 48 international destinations on 312 routes with 8,300 flights per week. The collective staff strength stands at more than 30,000. The new full-service entity, Air India, operates 5,600 weekly flights and connects more than 90 domestic and foreign destinations with a fleet of 208 aircraft. India's government workforce came together in an extraordinary journey of learning and growth through Karma Yogi Saptah, a National Learning Week initiative from 19th to 27th October. Launched by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it is a movement that brought public servants across departments closer. Over 4 lakh government employees prioritized professional development by dedicating at least 4 hours to learning.
I think it has worked so well that Honorable PM has now said, why don't you take it to the states? Right now we focused on 3 million central civil servants, but there's 22 million state civil servants. So our next big jump is to take it to the states and urban local bodies. And he also said that since people like these webinars, why don't we have one webinar a week for the next 52 weeks? So we're going to start a webinar series. So I think all of these things, a catalytic, I call it a catalytic event. Yeah. It's not the end of learning, it is something that catalyzes lifelong learning.
Alka Mittal, Member Administration Capacity Building Commission, shared her insights on National Learning Week. Take a listen.
The learning which is going to make a very qualitative impact on the way we are contributing towards creating the Viksit Bharat we keep talking about, we keep wishing to contribute towards. This is a unique landmark, I would say, in the learning journey of Indians who are looking forward towards Vikas with total garv, as we have talked about the Sankalps, and we see it as our Kartavya.
In sports news, the Indian women's hockey team edged past South Korea 3-2 in a thriller at the Women's Asian Champions Trophy in Rajgir, Bihar. The home team dominated the proceedings in the first 30 minutes and went up 2-0 thanks to goals from Sangeeta and Deepika. Korea bounced back in the third quarter, making it 2-2. In the dying moments, with less than 3 minutes to go, India won a stroke after a foul on Navneet, and Deepika scored the winning goal from the spot. Deepika, for her stunning performance, was adjudged player of the match. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended a heartfelt congratulations to billiard star Pankaj Advani for winning a record 28th World Billiards title. On Saturday, ace Indian cubist Pankaj Advani clinched a historic 28th world title, beating England's Robert Hall 4-2 at the IBSF World Billiards Championship in Qatar. Prime Minister took to social media platform X to congratulate Advani for his win. He said, and I quote, "Phenomenal accomplishment. Congratulations to you. Your dedication, passion and commitment are outstanding. You have time and again demonstrated what excellence is. Your success will also keep inspiring upcoming athletes." Unquote. Yannick Sinner was presented with the ATP year-end #1 trophy in front of a joyful home crowd in Turin on Monday at the ATP Finals. In June, Sinner became the first Italian man or woman to reach the coveted world #1 spot in singles since computerized rankings were established in 1973. The 23-year-old is the 19th player to receive the honor and join a group of 3 other active players to have done so alongside Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz. Let me now give you some visuals of a Tyrannosaurus Rex at London's Natural History Museum, which debuted his new Christmas jumper and hat in a festive makeover on Tuesday, marking the start of the museum's seasonal celebrations. Visitors to the Dinosaurs Gallery can view the famous animatronic dinosaur in its festive attire for free throughout the Christmas season. Take a look. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.